How are you? Welcome to our coronavirus version of our shiur. We're here at home. We're still during the pandemic, so we cannot give the shiur in the Beit HaKnesset. But tonight I have something very special to share with you. Baruch Hashem, we're zocheh to hear lots of good news from our community and from many people, a lot of miracles, same time there's a lot of tragedies, but Baruch Hashem, hen el kabir lo imas. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should all be back together again in the Beit HaKnesset, davening together and learning Torah together face to face, and being ma'arich one another, to appreciate one another. But until then, I want to share with you a very special shiur, a very spiritual shiur. And I think it would also shed a lot of light with all the talk that's going on today, if we'll get to it, about the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Is it okay to talk about it? Is it not okay to talk about it? Do we see the Chachamim in the past used to talk about it? Who were the Chachamim that used to talk about it? Ruach HaKodesh, mysticism, Kabbalah. Mysticism isn't really the right word, it's really spirituality, but it's really more than spirituality. It's the connection between the physical and the spiritual. It's the total harmony. And the beautiful thing is that we are zocheh, our generation, to witness, to live through the 400th anniversary, this Rosh Chodesh Iyar, Lamed Nisan, the 400th anniversary of Rav Haim Vital, the holy Rav Haim Vital, the foremost student of the Ari HaKadosh. When I say the foremost student, that's not really the right way of saying it, because if we're going to get to it tonight, really this shiur has to be at least a 3-part shiur, at least. But if we're going to get to it tonight, Rabbi Chaim, the Ari HaKadosh, told Rabbi Haim Vital, who was the Ari HaKadosh. The Ari HaKadosh is the father of Lurianic Kabbalah, which is the derech, the way of Kabbalah that most Mekubalim today follow. That's the derech, and the reason they follow the Ari HaKadosh's way, because it's clear, it's concise, it's in order, and we know from as a masoret, from Rebbe to student, from father to son, Rebbe to student, especially the Sephardi world, the Sephardic world, that the Ari HaKadosh learned by Eliyahu Hanavi, ish leish, man to man, like mamish. Eliyahu Hanavi did not come in the form of a spirit. There's many different kinds of versions of revealment of Eliyahu Hanavi. But the highest revealment of Eliyahu Hanavi is when he comes here and he's actually like a human being. And you could touch him, you could feel him, and when he's like that, he's chayav in all the mitzvot. That's why sometimes in the Talmud we see that Eliyahu Hanavi, which was a Kohen, he was Pinchas, as the Zohar says. And the Talmud doesn't say that, by the way. But the Zohar does say that. And that Pinchas is Eliyahu. And it's also a Medrash. But Eliyahu Hanavi is Pinchas. And when Pinchas, and he's a Kohen, and many times we see that Eliyahu Hanavi was in a graveyard, and a Kohen cannot be in a graveyard. So one of the answers that Mekubalim bring down is because when he's in a spirit form, when he's in an angelic form, as we know, when Eliyahu Hanavi turned into an angel. Which angel is that? It's the angel of the world of Asiya, which his main name is, in short, we just say Sandal. We don't say the full name. You're not allowed to say full names of angels. The Ari HaKadosh writes in Shara Pisukim and Shara Mitzvot, because you as a Jew have the power to control them, and when you say their name, you bring them down to this world, and since the avir, the air around us is tameh, we have no para aduma, and we live outside of Eretz Yisrael. And even if we lived inside Eretz Yisrael, we're tmeim tumat met, the tum'ah of a dead person. So that angel comes, and instead of doing what you want, he causes you a lot of bad things, and bar minan, as happened with the Talmid Chacham, the student of Rabbi Avraham Abulafia, Rabbi Yosef Dilarina, who one day will say a story. Went totally off the derech. He used many names of angels. This was before the Ari HaKadosh. So Eliyahu Hanavi, when he comes down to this world in the highest form, of Remu, he comes down as a human, and he taught Eliyahu Hanavi. He taught Ari HaKadosh, and we even have the seat, the spot in the shul of the Ari till today. It's in Tzfat. Ir HaKodesh Tzfat. We know there's 4 main holy cities in Eretz Yisrael. One of them is Tzfat, which is Keneged the Ruach. Yerushalayim is Keneged Afar. Hebron, where the patriarchs are buried, is Keneged the Esh, fire, 4 elements. And Tiberia, where Mashiach is going to be Midgaleh, B'Yemei Yameinu Amen, is Mayim, water. Why is Mashiach going to be revealed in Tiberia, not in any other place in Eretz Yisrael? Why not in Yerushalayim? Because Tiberia was the last place where the Sanhedrin was disbanded. And since it was disbanded in the north, it has to reband, if you will, in the north too. So that's the 4 cities. But Tzfat is the city of Ruach. That's why till today, if anybody goes to Tzfat, even non-religious people, you meet them, they go on birthright, and they go to Tzfat, and they say, we feel so spiritual around here. We don't know what is it about Tzfat. It's the city of spirit. And even the graveyard over there, it gets more tourists than the greatest tourist places in the world. It's something about that place. You go over there, you feel like a aliyah ruchani. And it's always been a spot for great tzaddikim. The Galil is this place of a lot of tzaddikim, and a lot of Tanaim are buried over there. Unlike the Darom, the south of Eretz Yisrael, Be'er Sheva and places like that, there is, but nothing compared to the Galil, the north. So the Ari HaKadosh learned with Eliyahu HaNavi. So we see that the Ari HaKadosh had the highest form of revelation that a human being can have regarding Eliyahu HaNavi, to the point where he was literally almost a step away from prophecy. He had Ruach Nevi'ut, not Nevi'ut Mamash, because then he would be a Navi, and we haven't had a Navi. But he Mamash had Ruach Nevi'ut. He could, if you look what Rav Haim Vital, who we're going to discuss today, his foremost student, once again, it's not the right way of saying it, but it's really supposed to be his only student. Rav Haim Vital writes in Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh that the Ari HaKadosh had such revelation, had reached such a level of loftiness, of spirituality, that he could tell a person who was his Gilgul, which is nothing, but he could tell you what's your Shorish Neshama, and he can tell you what's your tikkun, and what did you learn last night when you went to sleep in Shamayim, and he could tell you things that not just derech avodah, how to serve Hashem, how you need to serve Hashem. And as we know, that time in Eretz, about 500 years ago in Eretz Yisrael, was a very auspicious time for Hidgalut Mashiach Tzidkenu. Anybody who knows a little history, they wanted to renew smicha, bring back the old way of smicha, which stopped midway during the Amoraic period of time, the Amoraim. They stopped doing smicha. And the reason why smicha is very important, because without smicha, which is something many people don't know, but whoever's watching this video has a zchut of knowing, and I've mentioned this before in my shiurim, without smicha, there is no way we could know who's Mashiach Tzidkenu, who is Melech HaMashiach, because the first people that the Mashiach has to convince that he's Mashiach is the Sanhedrin. Many people think Mashiach is going to come on the telly or on Zoom, and he's going to start telling people I'm Mashiach. It's not going to be like that. First, he has to go to the Chachamim. He has to go to the Sanhedrin. Then the Sanhedrin, they give him smicha, and they say, yes, he is Mashiach. And obviously, it's going to be a great thing. So in the time of the Ari HaKadosh, they tried to renew smicha. And believe it or not, who was at the head of it? Rabbi Yaakov Beirav, who was the Rebbe, at least he considers him his Rebbe, of Rav Yosef Karo, the Bala Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch, if we look at the back over here, are these books on the top over here. The Shulchan Aruch is the code of Jewish law. It is the greatest compilation of Jewish laws, at least after the Rambam. Gemara, which includes the Mishnayot, Rambam, and the Shulchan Aruch. That's the Jewish law. That's everything in one shot. Of course, it could take you a lifetime, maybe a couple of lifetimes to know it well, but we know like there's great sages in our days, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, who finishes Kol HaTorah Kula, which is Shulchan Aruch, Rambam, and Shulchan Aruch and Gemara, all in every year, and he makes a Siyum Erev Pesach. And from that wine he gives to people to drink, and there's a lot of yeshuot that happen from that. They drink it. Women who can't get pregnant, people who want to get married. It's called the sacred wine. He makes the Siyum Masechet on that wine. Imagine the power of Kol HaTorah Kula. Anyways, so the Ari HaKadosh had Gilui from Eliyahu HaNavi. And even though there are many darchei Kabbalah, there are many ways of Kabbalah, there are many ways of reaching Avodat Hashem. Kabbalah is not a right word. The real word is Avodat Hashem. That's what Kabbalah is. It's a derech how to connect to God. Because even you could do Avodat Hashem through learning Gemara. If a person learns the same daf, he could reach very lofty levels. But some people, their nishamot, they crave a more bigger revelation of Hashem. Because the Gemara has an amazing way of hiding all the secrets of the Torah, and everything's in the Gemara. Everything. What do you think the Agadah is? What do you think all the stories over there are? That is the secrets of the Torah. As the Bala Sulam explains in Mamarya Sulam, and really it's a Tikkunei Zohar. And all the halachot that the Tanaim and Amoraim wrote is based on their Shorshei Neshamot. That's why the halacha is Elu va'elu divrei Elohim chayim. This and this are the words of Hashem. I mean, how could you have two opposite halachot, two opposite laws, and they're both correct? But you don't understand. All the rivers go to the same sea. Each one is talking according to his Shor Shema. One is more machmir, one is more mekel. The Rebbe should explain this in depth. And the Bnei Aaron, Rabbi Shimon Agassi explains this in depth in Sha'ar Gilgulim, in his book Bnei Aaron and Sha'ar Gilgulim. But we're digressing. Torah is so sweet. It's been such a long time we've gotten together that, and the Ari Kadosh, he told Rav Haim Vital that the reason why I reached this higher revelation of Avodat Hashem, of Derech Hashem, more than anyone else, because Rav Haim Vital, he asked the Ari Kadosh, how come you reached higher than me even? Because the Rav Haim Vital was maybe even older than the Ari, and the Ramak of Moshe Cordovero, the great Ramak, and the Ari said, the reason why I reached more than you is because I tried more. You guys tried, but I tried more, and that's a sweet answer, and that's the greatest answer. And of course, there's other places in Shara Mitzvot where he says the greatest way of getting Ruach HaKodesh is through saying blessings of foods, and through doing all the mitzvot through amazing simcha. But the real answer, mi'ikar adin, as they say, he tried harder than everyone else. He used to cry. There was no Pirushim on the Zohar back then. All the Pirushim we have on the Zohar is basically the Ari. So he said he used to cry over one Pirush on the Zohar HaKadosh for days. For days. Imagine you crying over something for days. Hashem is not going to answer you. So much. The Ari HaKadosh was something else. I mean, blessed are the Jewish people to zochef to the Ari HaKadosh. Now, another reason why we follow the Ari HaKadosh, especially with the Sfaradim, Ashkenazim too, but mostly Sfaradim, is because the Ari HaKadosh tells Rav Haim Vital in Shara Kavanot, the gate of Kavana, higher levels of Kavana, that at the end of him explaining all the Kavanot of Tefillah, at least what we have left, what he told Rav Haim Vital, because there is for sure more notes that we don't have today, for sure. He told Rabbi Haim Vital how to pray in the correct order. That's the order that the Sfaradim used till today, and also Ashkenazim, but not exactly. For example, there's Nosach Sfard, Nosach Ashkenaz. Hasidim also are very close, but the Sfaradim have the actual order, follow the actual order. And inside this order, he writes over there at the end, he says, really everyone should follow their traditions, their minhag. If you're Ashkenaz, you should follow Ashkenaz. If you're Sfard, Sfard. So Rabbi Haim Vital, this question is not in there, but it's kind of between the lines. So how come we should pray with this order? And he tells him because every tradition, let's say tradition of Ashkenaz, of Sfard, or there's different versions of Tefillah, of Spanish Tefillah, of the Italian Tefillah. They had different prayer books, the Machzor of Sadia Gaon, the Sidur, there's many different kinds of Sidurim of the Geonim, because all of them are right, they're all correct. They're all correct. Because every tribe, in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, the first Beit HaMikdash, till the first Beit HaMikdash, they had their own window in heaven, in the rakia, in the firmaments, where their tefillah would go through that window. The Ari told Rav Haim Vital. So therefore, when they pray according to their nosach, to their tradition, it's specifically geared for that tribe. And the same thing, he says, goes for all the traditions we have today. So if you're Ashkenaz, or you're Italia, or you're of Sadia Gaon, or Paras, though their prayer books, the original ones that they had, specifically went for their rakia, for their chalon and that rakia. But the tefillah the order that I brought down, it's hame'asef lekol hamachanot. It's the window that includes all windows. Basically saying that even if you're Ashkenaz or Hasidish or Sephardi or Parsi or Italki, anywhere, any background you are, if you use Nosach Ari Kadosh, it gets accepted. It means it's as if you pray through your own specific chalon in the rakia. So imagine the galut of the Ari Kadosh, and that's why for us the Sfaradim, if the Ari says something, it's mamish like a Tana. It's like a Tana said, we pass into halacha. If you open up the book of the Ben Ish Chai, Rabbi Chaim Falaji, Gon Echida, even the Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, especially b'milit tefillah. And the Ari Kadosh, he passed away very young, he was extremely young, he was 38. And he only taught this wonderful way of Avodat Hashem to Rabbi Haim Vital in about a year and 8 months. Not for a lack of trying, he tried to reach him before that, but Rav Haim Vital was very stubborn, he did not want to go learn by him. And the Ari told Rabbi Haim Vital, he told him, all the reason I came to this world was to teach you Torah. That's the only reason. Because we are so interconnected, our souls, that the fact that we didn't finish learning together in the previous reincarnation when I was Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol and you were Rabbi Akiva, I have to come back and teach you and finish teaching you what I missed out. And the truth is, it wasn't only Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol and Rabbi Akiva who they were connected in many other ways. The Ari HaKadosh was a nitzotz of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rabbi Haim Vital was a nitzotz of Rabbi Abba, as is hinted very clearly in Shara Gilgulim. And many other nitzotzei nishamot of Tanaim and Amoraim, sparks of nishamot. So the fact that we're here 400 years later after his passing, and we're here talking about it, it shows the nitzchiyut, the foreverness, the eternity, the infinity of the Jewish people. Baruch, it's blessed the nation that hailed their chachamim after 400 years. So we all heard about the Ari HaKadosh, we're talking about the Ari HaKadosh, but we cannot forget about the fact that the Ari HaKadosh, his main reason of coming to this world was only for Rabbi Chaim Vital. So therefore, mitzvah aleinu. It is a mitzvah upon us during his Hillula, which is coming up in one day. At least who sees this video on time. It's on Lamed Nisan, 30th of Nisan, his 400th anniversary, to delve into who he was. And we will learn such amazing things about what his neshama was. And all the information I'm giving you is coming from maybe one of my favorite Sfarim. It's so I love the Sefer so much that I don't even let anyone borrow it. You could buy it in the bookstore. Today you could buy anything in the bookstore, in the Sfarim store. Bookstore is not a right way of saying it. Sfarim. But this Sefer it's Malhiv Levavod. It's like a million Musar books. It's called Sefer HaChezionot. It's Rav Haim Vital's personal diary. It was printed by his grandson, Rabbi Moshe Vital. And it records his whole life. The book is 4 sections. First section is his personal life. It's not that big of a section because we're missing a lot of parts. The second section is the dreams that he had on himself. If you read those dreams, you will go insane. They're so intense. And the third part, I apologize, is dreams that people had on him. He recorded everything. And the last part is the intricate details of what his root soul was. Unbelievable, just unbelievable. You know, people call me after hearing some of my shiurim online and it's Rav Haim, this, that. Says, oh, could you please let me know what's this, that? I'm not a Baba, I don't know anything. You need somebody like the Ari HaKadosh. Unfortunately, our door is yatom from such a thing. I personally do not know any of these things or how to tell any of these things, but I'm giving you this information. Number one, to be malhiv your live, to light a spark in your neshama for Avodat Hashem. and to bring you closer to the last section of the Torah, which is called Sod. As Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, Beda yifkun Yisrael min galuta berachamei. With this book, with the Zohar HaKadosh, the Jews will leave this galut with mercy. He was in our galut, the galut of Rome, or 1,952 years, 52 years, in this galut. And with so much talk about Mashiach Tzidkeinu going on lately, I mean, halavai should be true, halavai. Unfortunately, we have no Navi, and we can't know for sure. But we'll get to that too. We'll get to that too if we have the time. I personally, my style is not to make my shiur too long, 2 hours, 3 hours, like some speakers do, because I love the kitzur, I love the short. And this first shiur, I want to speak specifically about Rav Haim Vital in a sense of who he was. The first part of his Sefer HaChezionot, his diary, and just look at the gadlut. Look at the greatness of who he was, who his father was. And I'm going to read to you the words inside, milah b'milah. He says the year is 5,301. We're in the year 5,780. It's about 500 years ago. Bihiyot Abba Mori Zal Adain B'chutz La'aretz. Rabbi Haim Vital his background was Italian. He wasn't from Spain or from Israel. He was an Italian. His family's real last name was Calabris, from Calabria. You know, the Chabadnikim today use etrogim from Italy, from Calabria. Calabrian etrogim. They call it the Yanavers. And when Reb Haim Vital's father was already in Italy, he wasn't in Israel yet. His name was Rabbi Yosef Vital. Before he came to Eretz Yisrael, he was a guest in a person's house named Rabbi Chaim Ashkenazi. Rav Chaim Ashkenazi, a very rare rabbi. We don't know much about him, except for a couple of places in the Sfarim Mekubalim, and one of them is over here. And Rav Chaim Ashkenazi tells Rabbi Yosef Vital that you should know, Ki atid ata lelech le'Eretz Yisrael. In the future, you're going to go to Eretz Yisrael. You see, he was already, this Rabbi Chaim Ashkenazi, he had foresight, but he didn't call himself a Navi. Many people today, they don't have foresight, and they call themselves Naviim. He had foresight, he had a kind of Ruach HaKodesh, but he didn't call himself a Navi. But he told Rabbi Yosef Vital, you're going to go to Eretz Yisrael in the future, and you will live there, Lishkon Sham. V'sham yivaled lecha ben, you will have a son, and you should call him Chaim after me. So just first things first, Rabbi Haim Vital was called Chaim after this rabbi in Italy called Rabbi Chaim Ashkenazi. Interesting. Vehu yecham gadol. I'm already telling you right now, this son you're going to have is going to be a great sage, a great chacham. Shelo yeh bedoro kamo. There won't be a person in the generation like him. He lived in the generation of Rabbi Yosef Karo, his own Rebbe, the Ari HaKadosh. He lived in the generation of the Maharit, of the Mabit, Rabbi Tom Al-Ghazi, Maharit Sahalon, Geonei Olam. The whole Shulchan Aruch is based on them. Mamish. And there was nobody in the generation like him, says Rav Chaim Ashkenazi to Rabbi Yosef Vital. And after 2 years, he got to Eretz Yisrael, and Rabbi Haim Vital was born, and he called him Chaim, just like that Chacham told him, Rabbi Chaim Ashkenazi. So first of all, pardon me, I want to tell you a couple of things about Rabbi Yosef Vital. Who was Rabbi Haim Vital's father, first of all? He was born in the south of Italy, in a city called Calabria, as we said. And Rav Haim Vital writes about his own father in the book Sefer HaGilgulim. It's not Shar HaGilgulim, but Sefer HaGilgulim. It's a different book. And he says, Abba Morizal, my father, Rabbi Yosef, was from the root soul of Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the soul, the nefesh, Rabbi Yeshvav HaSofer, Hayta mit'aberet bo. Not only was he from the root soul of Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes, but he also had the soul of Rabbi Yeshvav HaSofer, which is one of the 10 martyrs, impregnated in him. As we said many times in our shirim of Shar Gilgulim, a person could do that if he has a zachut. He could have ibur. It's called ibur nishamot from kedusha. Chas v'shalom. You could also have ibur of rishaim. It's called a dibuk already. Chas v'shalom. But look who was Rabbi Yosef Vital. He was from the root soul, Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes, the greatest, one of the greatest Tanaim. And he had inside of him the soul also of Rabbi Sheva Sofer to be Rabbi Yosef Vital. He was worthy to be Rabbi Haim Vital, such a smart sage like Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes. Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes was one of the most sharpest minds. He was even in front of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, says the Gemara Yerushalmi. Zulati avon echad, because of one avera he had in the previous reincarnation, his father, he didn't have the sharpness he was supposed to have. Look what Rabbi Haim Vital is gonna say. Yidvu kol nefashot. What was that avera? Sheshama bizayon chacham echad. He heard somebody putting down a different rav, a different chacham, velo michabo, and he didn't stop him. He didn't, micha means he didn't limchot. He didn't say, what are you doing? You can't put another Rav down. So just for hearing Lashon Hara and not telling the guy, a different Chacham, and not telling him stop, protest is the right word. He didn't protest. He lost the sharpness. And he also says that his Rebbe told him, Dari, another reason why he lost his sharpness, because he had ga'ava in his chokhmah. Person who has an ego that he's smart, when he comes back, if he comes back in the next world, if you have ego, probably you will. One of the worst averot. Every time you have ego, you have to fast 15 times, says the Ari. So the Shar Gilgolim also brings this down that a person, the Bnei Aaron of Shimon Agassi says, a person who has ga'ava, he loses his chokhmah. This was Rabbi Yosef Vital. And the Ari said on Rabbi Yosef Vital, the father of the Marchu, and also the Baal Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo at a Magid said about Rabbi Yosef Vital, that half of the world is standing, Chatzi ha'olam nizon b'zchut be'emtzaut tefillin ha'ksherim shaya oseh, because of the kosher tefillin that my father used to write. So just the zchut of writing tefillin. And why was he a sofer, by the way? Why was he a sofer of Yosef Vital? Because Rabbi Meir Bal Hanes, who was his root soul, what was he? He was a lavlar, he was a sofer. And Rabbi Yeshvev was also a sofer. So we see the occupation that a person does. Now, once again, don't text me or call me, oh, what does my occupation say about me? I have no idea. I'm sure you can figure it out by yourself. But we see that the occupation that Rabbi Yosef Vital did was because he was from the root soul of a sofer. So yes, the drive that a person has for something is for sure has to do with his previous reincarnation or his root soul. It's obvious. So that's who was Rabbi Yosef Vital. And he had Rabbi Haim Vital, it was his son. Now when Rabbi Haim Vital was 12 years old, Kaiti ben Yud Bet Shanim, Chacham Gadol, a great sage in Israel, B'sibtutei kafayat, he was able to tell you what's the meaning of all the lines inside his hand. He was called Chokhmat Kafayad. He looked at Rabbi Haim Vital's hand and he said, "Da, you should know. I see inside your hand, and don't think this is made up Baba Maises, because Rav Ovadia Yosef also talks about these things. There was a Chacham in Mitzrayim when he was in Egypt, when he was a young man. He was a rabbi in Egypt. We all know the famous stories about him over there. That he was a guy over there that knew Chokhmat Kafayad. And there was another rabbi, Rav Meshi Zahav, not the one that's alive right now. I think it's his son, Rav Yisrael Meshi Zahav, who was close to Rav Mordechai Sharabi. He also knew Chokhmat Kafayad. I'm sure there are other people today that know too. Da, he told him, Biyotcha ben kad shana, when you're going to be 24 years old, Yavo hirhurim rabim belibcha, you're going to have very bad thoughts. Lidbatel me'esek Torah, to stop learning Torah. Al korchecha shtei shnim mechetza, for 2.5 years, it's going to happen. You're not going to learn. You're going to have a situation in your life. Obviously, it's not that he didn't learn at all. We know that Rav Haim Vital, when he was a young man, he studied alchemy for 2.5 years. That's what he's talking about over here. After these 2.5 years, you're going to have two pathways in front of you. One is to Gan Eden, one is to Gehenom. And the choice will be in your hands if you will choose Gehenom. This is Rav Haim Vital, 12 years old over here, and a rabbi who knows the Kafayat is telling him this. And he's writing this in his diary. He says to him, if you will choose the path of Risha'im, there will be no greater Rasha in this generation than you. You will be the greatest Rasha. You will be so successful in Rishut. From this we can take Musar, that people who are big Risha'im, look at their Nishamot. They must have huge Nishamot. Because if they would have chose Derech HaKedusha, Tahara, they would have been great tzaddikim. And that's what we see by Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, that he said, Chelecha le Torah, your power is for Torah. Rish Lakish was a bandit, the head of the bandits. Same thing over here. Vim timchar b'derech Gan Eden, but if you will choose Gan Eden, you will be the greatest Chacham of your generation. And Rav Haim Vitals writes, whatever he wrote here came true. Unbelievable. In the year 5317, Rabbi Haim Vital was 16 years old over here. Rabbi Moshe Alshich, we all know the Alshich, the famous Alshich on the Torah. That was the Rebbe of Rav Haim Vital in Nigle, in the revealed parts of the Torah. And Rav Moshe Alshich's Rebbe was Rav Yosef Karo, Baal Shulchan Aruch. Rav Yosef Karo told Rav Moshe Alshich, in the name of his Magid, in the name of his angel that used to come and teach him Torah, special angel called a Magid, that is made from your own Torah, that you should be very careful to teach me very well, because I will be the successor of the generation after Rav Yosef Karo. Wow. So Rav Yosef Karo is calling Rav Haim Vital his successor. And how old is he? 16 years old. And also Rav Yosef Karo used to come to me, and he would tell me, in the name of his Magid, that half of the world stands because of my father's tefillin. So once again we have an edut from two Gedolei Olam, Rav Yosef Karo, Baal Shulchan Aruch, Rav Yosef Karo, whose yortzeit was Erev Pesach, the day before Erev Pesach, and the Ari HaKadosh, that half of the world was standing because of Chaim Vital's father's tefillin. It's not easy to be a sofer, Rabbi Isai. You know, some people, I got a person, Mezuzot along, he tells me, oh, you got it from Israel? I'm like, no, I didn't get it from Israel. People have a fallacy, they think, falsehood, they think that if a person gets something from Israel, it's automatically Kadosh. Yes, maybe the parchment is Kadosh and the ink, it doesn't mean the sofer was. Sofer has to be a Kadosh, a human being has to be Kadosh. The next thing Rav Haim Vital writes over here, so we're getting really amazing outlook who Rabbi Haim Vital was. That means already in his youth, he was meant for greatness, which is a very important idea in Yichudim and Kavanot and Limud Torah, that a person has to know that he's great. And we see the Ari HaKadosh would always be mashir. He would warn Rabbi Haim Vital. He says, be very careful. Don't think you're a small person. Oh, ga'ava, you would say. Chas v'shalom, it's not ga'ava. A person has to know what his worth is. A person has to know what his worth is. A person should know that he could be in Olam HaAtzilut if he wants to. And that's one of the greatest things that stops people from being great, because they put themselves down. You have to be humble about it. You can be mitnaseh an tzibur, but you have to know your worth. You're chelek Eloka mima'al. You were chosen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Especially if you're observant, you're the cream of the crop. The Jews are already the cream of the crop. You're the cream of the cream. In the year 5325, so Rabbi Haim Vital already is over here 24 years old. This is the time when he's about to stray off the way. There was in Tzfat a man called Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi. Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi was, in his time in Tzfat, was known as one of the greatest Mekubalim. This is before the Ari came to Tzfat. Even in the time of the Ramak, Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi was known as one of the... He had free Ruach HaKodesh. Free. Even the Baal Reshit Chochmah, Rabbi Eliyahu Dividash, who was the Nitzotz of Aftalion, one of the, Shmaya Aftalion, were the rabbis of Hillel and Shammai. He writes about Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi in his book Reshit Chochmah. And Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi, he knew the future. Rabbi Haim Vital writes about him. He Haya Yodea Atidot Amitiyot. He would know mamish the future. He was able to bring down nishamot of people and ask them questions. Even of the first generations of the world. And he would tell them anything. We know that Ari HaKadosh used to do the same exact thing. And I went to his house one day, Rabbi Haim Vital says, I wanted to ask him something. And he didn't give me honor. Rabbi Lapidot didn't give Rabbi Haim Vital any honor. He didn't know who I was. The next day when I came back to his house, Rabbi Haim Vitals writes, Techef kam, right away he stood up. And he gave me great honor. V'amarli, and he told me, Mecholi, please forgive me. Rabbi Lapidot is telling Rabbi Haim Vital, a 24-year-old. Please forgive me that I didn't give you honor. Because I didn't know the value of your neshama until last night, that they told me in the yeshiva of Mala who you were. And I want to tell you one advice. Remember, he's 24 here. That you should stop thinking of all of how to be rich and how to have houses and real estate. Don't think about all this. I know you're thinking about it, don't think about it. Rabbi Haim Vital was married twice. Some people say 3 times, really. His first wife, his name was Chana. She was, let's call her in a nice way, a tough cookie. In a nice way. And he had a lot of issues with her. But he was very, very asir Torah. He means he had a lot of appreciation for her too, because she helped him write his books and learn Torah. She was his wife while he was learning with the Ari HaKadosh. So, but he also had from her, you say, not the easiest time, putting it in a nice way. And he said to him, your soul is not from the souls of our generation. It means every generation has neshamot of that part of Adam HaRishon that has to come down. Like for example, right now we're from the ekev of Adam HaRishon, we're from the heel of Adam HaRishon. Our neshamot are from the heel. So you could be from the heel of Keter, you could be the heel of Chokhmah, you could be the heel of Bina, of Da'at, of Haised Givurat Tiferet, of the Partsuf, of Arich, of Abba, of Ima, of the Yad, of the Katef. It's very deep. If you learn Sha'ar Gilgulim in depth, people think you open up Sha'ar Gilgulim, gates of reincarnation, suddenly, I'm going to know my reincarnation. It's like saying, I'm going to open up the Gemara and learn one page of Masechet Barachot, I'm going to know all the halachot. So he told him, your neshama was really supposed to be born in the time of the Tanaic sages, the redactors of the Mishnah. And if you want, your soul could be higher than anything. You have no idea, he tells him. So don't think shatan neshama shfela, don't put yourself down. Unbelievable, just what we were saying. You're a big neshama. Every Jew has to know he has amazing potential. You could reach the world of Atzilut. And that way you're going to be great in Avodat Hashem. As we saw by Chizkiyahu HaMelech, the King Chizkiyahu. We're going to see later on in Sha'ar Gilgulim, well, obviously not in this year, that Rabbi Haim Vital had a zchut of having Chizkiyahu HaMelech inside of him as a Tosefet Neshama on Shabbat. And also, Chizkiyahu HaMelech was from the same root soul as the Rabbi Haim Vital. But we see by Chizkiyahu HaMelech, V'yigbali bo b'darchei Hashem, it says by Chizkiyahu HaMelech that his soul was high in the service of God. So we see that a very important idea when you want to do Avodat Hashem, you have to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, and you have to know that you have great potential, and even if you do Averot, that you're still the greatest. That doesn't mean you can't be humble. Of course you should be humble, but Belibo, V'yigbali bo b'darchei Hashem. And he tells him that you have one Averah from your previous Gilgul and you have to fix it. And after a while, the Rabbi Haim Vital writes, when my Rebbe already came to Tzfat and I was learning by him, I told him what Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi told me back when I was 24 years old. And the Ari, look, that means even the Ari was happy that Rabbi Lapidot told him that. That means the Ari HaKadosh was machshev Rabbi Lapidot Ashkenazi. For me specifically, when I learned about rare rabbis that people don't know about, I get a very big, especially from the earlier generations, because, who remembers them? And it's a mitzvah in the Torah. It's not brought down explicitly by the Monei Mitzvot, but it's brought down, Zechor Yamot Olad Binu Shno Dor Vado. You have to remember your past. Without a past, we have no future. That's why, during this whole virus epidemic, that we have as Rav Asher Weiss says, the great Rav Asher Weiss, he says that, mostly the old people die. And they say, okay, so they were supposed to die anyways. Chas v'shalom. For the Jewish people, the Skenim are called Einei Ha'edah. They're the eyes of the nation. That means without them, we have no future. Because a nation that has no past has no future. Continues the Sefer HaChezionot. And look, and this is crazy. What it says over here. From here we see that Rabbi Haim Vital was supposed to be Mashiach. He was supposed to be. And he went to a woman that was Bikia Betipot Hashemen. She was able to see things through looking at oil. Looking in oil, through some lechashim. Lechashim is incantations. Va'amrali, and she told me, says Rabbi Haim Vital, that I was scared from what I saw in the oil, that you're supposed to be the king over all of Israel. A couple of times, I know we're not going to get to it, but just to give you a couple of times, we see that in Sefer HaChezionot that Rabbi Haim Vital makes reference that he was supposed to be Mashiach ben Yosef. A couple of times. Which kind of contradicts the notion that the Ari was supposed to be Mashiach ben Yosef, as it's written in Shara Kavanot, that when they went to the grave of Shemaya v'Avtalion, the Ari told them, make sure you pray that Mashiach ben Yosef shouldn't die. And from here we had that Kavanah in Shmona Esrei. And Tishkon b'toch Yerushalayim Mircha, we're supposed to pray that Mashiach ben Yosef shouldn't get killed. And Rabbi Haim Vital said we didn't understand that he was talking about himself, and he died after that. So from here we see that Ari was supposed to be Mashiach ben Yosef. So how is he making reference that he was supposed to be the king over Israel? So it's a deep understanding. But in short, what does Mashiach ben Yosef mean? Mashiach ben Yosef is not a person; it's a soul. That soul, as we see by Yeravam ben Nevat, that he was Mashiach ben Yosef, and then through his averot that he became Ma'ish Mashhid by doing Avodah Zarah. He lost it, says the Zohar. What did he lose, says the Zohar? He lost the Nishama of Yosef HaTzadik. So in reality, Mashiach ben Yosef, what does it really mean? It means that a person was zocheh to get inside of him the Nishama of Yosef HaTzadik, and that changes him. It changes him. So a possible answer is that this answer is not written anywhere. It's my personal answer to the contradiction that the Ari HaKadosh had inside himself the Ibur Neshama of Yosef HaTzadik, and then it transferred to Rabbi Haim Vital. Okay, but that's a possible answer. So she tells him, this lady, that I see that you will be the king, and where will you be king? Where will your kingdom start? In a city by the water. Either the city of Tzidon, which is north of what's supposed to be Israel in Lebanon, or the city of Tveria. So once again, we see a reference over here that Mashiach Tzidkenu is supposed to come from the Galil, from the north, and Tveria is mentioned openly over here. Ume'olam lo ra'iti adam gadol kamocha, and I've never seen, the woman tells Rabbi Haim Vital, I've never seen a human being like you. And remember, in this, he's only 24 years old over here. B'ma'ala b'chol hador hazeh, from anyone in this generation. It means Rabbi Haim Vital was mishichmo v'ma'ala gadol mikol ha'am. Another part, Rabbi Haim Vital says, this is when he's 29 years old. There was a woman in Tzfat that she hayta medaberet atidot, she would spit out stuff like the future, as the Gemara says that the nivu'ah was given to shotim ve'yiladim, to crazy people and to kids. And she also knew how to make incantations on oil. And her name was, he even writes her name, Soniadira. Spanish name maybe, Old Spanish. And I asked her, what is my hasaga? What is my gift in Kabbalah, in the secrets of the Torah? And she couldn't answer me until she tried very hard, and she said, your soul is from the souls of the Tanaim. This reminds me of only one other person, the Ben Ish Chai. This reminds me of the Ben Ish Chai, because the Ben Ish Chai, Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya writes about him, the Ben Ish Chai's soul, God had mercy on our times, and he sent us the Ben Ish Chai. He was supposed to be born time of the Tanaim. So look at Rabbi Haim Vital, this reminds me of the Ben Ish Chai so much. Of course, Rabbi Haim Vital is much before, but look at the connection. And he says that your chokhmah is as of the chokhmah of Shlomo HaMelech, Be'er Mayim Chayim. You're like a well you're a spring of live water. Nivu'im metokim me'od, you're very sweet. And we see that Rabbi Haim Vital, if it wasn't for him, we would have no Etz HaChayim, no Otzrot Chayim, no Adam Yashar, no Kilot Yaakov, no Shar Gilgolim, no Shar Mitzvot, Shar Kavanot. Rabbi Haim Vital is... No wonder this lady saw that he was supposed to be Melech Israel. Of course, Lo Yistaya Milta. He says over here, "V'ata tasik et Kabbalah, you will reach the true Kabbalah. What no human being, mashelo hesig shum chacham me'akadmonim elecha mekamador, what no other human being has ever reached before you." So from here we see another reason, another thing. How come we only learned the Ari of Haim Vital? Because he had a hasaga that nobody else had. Of course, there are other Kabbalot. Of course, I'm not saying no. And B'ezrat Hashem, I'll make a video about different sections of, there are different ways of hasaga. Every person has a Rabbi Yosef Taitechak and Malach HaMeshiv. There is Rabbi Yosef Ibn Sayach. There is the Chachmei Ashkenaz, Rabbi Elazar Migarmiza. There's many. There's Sodei Razia. But the Ari HaKadosh is Metukim Midevash V'Nofet Sufim. And that year, she tells him, a person will come and he will teach you this chokhmah. And for real, that's what happened. That year, the Ari HaKadosh came in the year 5330. And when the Rav Haim Vital was 29 years old, his Rebbe came to Egypt, from Egypt to Eretz Yisrael to teach Rav Haim Vital. That's when the whole story happened. He came to call him to learn. He didn't want to learn. עוד חזרתי לשאול. And then in the year 5331, I came to learn with my Rebbe. That means for one whole year, well, really 6 months. In one version we have 1 year, one version we have 6 months. Ari would come to Rav Haim Vital day in, day out, tell him to come learn with me. He didn't want to go and learn. And he told him what was his neshama. What was the source, what was the loftiness of Rav Haim Vital's neshama. Over here we see, this is one important part I want to say about Rabbi Haim Vital. One crazy thing over here, not crazy, very intense, I call it, about Rabbi Haim Vital. So he says over here, in the year 5334, Rabbi Haim Vital is 33 years old over here. There was a great rabbi that came from Dara'a. I believe Dara'a is a place in Syria. And he was called Rabbi Mas'ud Saginahor. Rabbi Mas'ud Saginahor is a very important figure in Kabbalah, especially in the Riyanik Kabbalah, in the Ari HaKadosh, because he's kind of the continuation after Rabbi Haim Vital. And he would teach in the Kabbalah in Tzfat until the time of, after the time of Rabbi Haim Vital. So he tells him, when he was on his way to Tzfat, how many minutes we have, we're over here. How many times do we have left? How many minutes we're here already? Okay, we still have a couple of minutes. We still have about 10 minutes because I don't want to make this shiur more than an hour. So let's put in more action on Rabbi Haim Vital. So, Rabbi Mas'ud Saginahor, if you want to know more about him, he's written in the Igeret of Rabbi Shlomel. He was an Ashkenazi Chacham who came all the way from Ashkenaz to learn in Tzfat after the Ari passed away and after Rav Haim Vital moved to Damascus. So his name was Rabbi Mas'ud Saginahor. He was a great Chacham. He was blind and he was a huge Chacham. And Rabbi Shlomel says about him that he knew the whole Zohar, Tikunei Zohar, Etz Hayim, Otzrot Hayim, Shara Mitzvot, Shara Gilgulim. He knew it all like Aleph Bet, he says over there. I think that's his Lashon. He knew it like Aleph Bet. Who was Rabbi Mas'ud Saginahor. And he went to go to Tzfat. On his way, he went to say bye to another rabbi, which you guys probably never heard of him before. Light a candle for him. Rabbi Avraham Avshalom. Who's Rabbi Avraham Avshalom? Other than Sefer Chizyanot, I've never seen his name anywhere. Va'amarlo, and he tells Rabbi Mas'ud Saginahor, lechaim v'leshalom, for life and to peace. Va'amarlo, and he told him, Pirush HaDvarim, what is the meaning of these words? Sheyavo etzli ani Chaim, that he will go to Tzfat, you should go straight to Rabbi Haim Vital. He's only 29, Rabbi Mas'ud is already a big Chacham. And you should tell him Shalom in my name. There was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, no Facebook, and even if there was, they would not go on it. Look at this Ruach HaKodesh. And he said to him, Rabbi Mas'ud didn't know who he was, Rabbi Haim Vital, so he gave him simanim, he gave him signs to know who he was. Va'amarlo, tell him in my name. Look at this, Rabbi, listen very carefully. Ki hu Mashiach ben Yosef. The Rabbi Haim Vital is Mashiach ben Yosef. Vayelech Yerushalayim, you should go to Jerusalem, you should live in Jerusalem, like many times the Ari also told Rabbi Haim Vital that your main mazal is in Jerusalem. The Ari says every human being, his mazal shines in a certain city in the world. And we see that, for example, some people, they live in New York and they blossom over here, and then they make aliyah, or they move to a different city, different state, different place in the world, different country, suddenly their mazal, boom, did the same exact thing. What happened? Also in Hasaga, you should know it's the same thing in Chokhmah. You could have great chokhmah in one place, you go to another place and you have no chokhmah. Even in different places that you learn, it could be across the street, in this yeshiva, that yeshiva, every place has a different koach. And you should tell him he's Mashiach ben Yosef, he should live in Jerusalem. And for 2 years you have to live there, but in the third year it will be your choice whether to live there or not. And in the second year the Spirit of God will go in him, that's Nivu'ah. And then there will be a big machloket between the rabbis of Jerusalem and Tzfat. And the people of Tzfat will call Rabbi Haim Vital to go live back with them. And then over there will come to Rabbi Haim Vital tens of thousands of Jews, hundreds of thousands of Jews will come, and he will be their king. Rabbi Haim Vital was 29 years old. Imagine you were 29 years old and you have a big Chacham, Bal Ruach HaKodesh in Damascus telling you a Nevuah about you, or close to a Nevuah. V'yilmedem Torah, you will teach them Torah, just like Rabbi Akiva, who was also Mashiach ben Yosef. And then I will come and join you, and I will be Mashiach ben David. You will be my second. So look at this Rabbi Avram Avshalom over here. He's telling on himself what kind of neshama he is. And you see what kind of things he's saying. And Rav Haim Vital saw it fit to write that in his book. Imagine the truth behind it. He says you should be very careful, since you're Mashiach ben Yosef. You should be very careful from people, because you will have, just like Yosef HaTzadik, many people were against him. Any person who has a nitzotz of the Yesod, automatically people are jealous of him. Because everybody wants a piece of the Yesod. Everybody wants a piece of the foundation. Amazing. And you will have to die, as Mashiach ben Yosef has to die, and I will ask from you life. As King David prays inside Tehillim in the Psalms, Psalms 21 verse 5, Chaim sha'al mimcha. He asked life. Life for who? For Mashiach ben Yosef. And he said to him, Rabbi Mas'ud, look at the level of this Rabbi Mas'ud. He made a question Behakitz, that means while he's awake, he was able to bring down a neshama and ask it a question. That was the level of Rabbi Mas'ud. And the soul told Rabbi Mas'ud that Rabbi Haim Vital, Gilgul Rabbi Akiva, is the reincarnation of Rabbi Akiva, and he will have 24,000 students. Talmidim Harbe doesn't say 24,000, but makes sense to say. And he will be rich enough to give them food for 15 years. Obviously, this never came true. But we see many times that Rabbi Haim Vital was supposed to be, if you learn the whole Sefer HaChazir, learn it, don't just read it, learn it. You will see Rabbi Haim Vital there are certain things he didn't do that he was supposed to do that caused them to lose that power that he was supposed to have, but he had that potential in him. I mean, Chas v'Shalom to speak about him like that, I'm Afar ve'efer, Rabbi Haim Vital, if I would have a zechut after 120 years to sit outside his place in Gan Eden and just hear his divrei Torah from the Chalon, that will be the greatest olam haba. Who was Rabbi Haim Vital? He says over here, some of the stuff over here are repetitions, like he says other people told me the same thing, so I'm skipping over that. And I want to tell you, in the year, the next one, paragraph 12, in the year 5338, Rabbi Haim Vital is 37 years old. At this point he was already living in Jerusalem. This is already after the Ari HaKadosh passed away, because we know Rabbi Haim Vital moved to Jerusalem after the Ari passed away, as his Rebbe told him to do. And he was giving a drasha, he was giving a speech in Jerusalem. And there was a woman over there called Rachel, the wife of Rabbi Yehuda Mish'an. Who's Rabbi Yehuda Mish'an? Rabbi Yehuda Mish'an was one of the other students of the Ari HaKadosh. And he was a good friend of Rabbi Haim Vital. And we see over here that Rabbi Yehuda Mish'an was still close to Rabbi Haim Vital even after the Ari passed away. Because we see over here that his sister knew him in Jerusalem. And she told me that while you were giving the speech, I saw a pillar of fire from your head until the heavens. Now we know one thing, that thing only happens to one or two people in a generation. It happened when the Ramak passed away, and we see it happened over here when Rabbi Haim Vital was not passing away, was giving a drasha, a speech. A pillar of fire was going from his head to Shamayim. And the Eliyahu Zachor, and she sees Eliyahu Hanavi standing next to Rabbi Haim Vital. I'm not making this up, Rabotai. You could get this book for yourself. This is the diary of Rabbi Haim Vital. You could research it and see it for yourself. Misayeyoti is helping me. And when I finished giving the drasha, the two things disappeared. And also she saw a pillar of fire on my head when I was a Chazan and Yom Kippur. When I was reading Musaf. and Rabbi Haim Vital says, don't think this woman is a fey, because this is a woman that's known to see things, shedim, demonic things, ruchot, spirits, malachim, angels, and she usually is correct in what she sees. So we see over here amazing thing. Rav Haim Vital, I mean, it's not for nothing that he was megaled Torah Ta'ari. It's not for nothing. I mean, his zechut should be megen on all of us. And it's just amazing to see that you sitting over here, you have a zechut to hear this. And the second part of our shiur, which we'll record, B'ezrat Hashem, I'm going to go into depth. Of course, the first part of the Sefer Chesyonim is not done. And but I will go back to it, B'ezrat Hashem. I will say a couple of more things. But I just want to let you guys know that look at the level Rav Haim Vital got. And one of the most important things that he got this way only because he wanted it and because he believed in himself. This is a very important thing in the Yichud, in the Yichudim, in learning Torah Tasod. You must believe in yourself. Never, ever say you're not worthy. You could research and try to find out what is my neshama, what is my this, that. Maybe Hashem will answer you. He will. Hashem always answers. You could try to do things, find a Rebbe. It's so important that when a person learns these limudim, that he should have a hadracha, that he should have a way. Rabbi Eliyahu Mani, the Rosh of all the Chachmei Chevron, one of the greatest Mekubalim in the time. He was the Rebbe of the Ben Ish Chai. More than this you want. Ben Ish Chai used to ask him questions. Rabbi Eliyahu Mani said that a person who learns this without a Rebbe, this limudim, chas v'shalom, be kotetz benitiyot. And we see that even with all the galut Rav Haim Vital, until the Ari didn't come, he didn't know it. I mean, he had the potential, but what got him, and the kinetic energy was the Ari HaKadosh, the Rebbe. Because chas v'shalom to be kotetz benitiyot, and even Rav Haim Vital was already a Mekubal by that time. He was already great in Torah, he knew the secrets, and he was Oved Hashem. The main thing, the whole point of this Oved Hashem, to be Oved Hashem, to be Choser B'Tshuva. As the Ari HaKadosh tells Rav Haim Vital many times, the whole point he tells Rav Haim Vital in his dreams after he passed away. In his dreams, he tells him day in, he says, give them drashot, give shiurim, how to be Choser B'Tshuva, be Choser B'Tshuva, be Choser B'Tshuva. Teach them about Teshuvah. Teach them about Teshuvah. Today in our days, we have so many people talking about Teshuvah. At the same time, we have many people that are cooling other people off. Chas v'shalom. We got to talk about Teshuvah. Do Teshuvah. Person who's a good orator, he should know this. Hashem gave him a gift for what reason? To be Choser B'Teshuvah. Not only secular people have to be Choser B'Teshuvah, also religious people have to be Choser B'Teshuvah. From Ga'ava. How many people I know, they were learning this limud and they were kicked out. Didn't have a zechut. Rabbi Yosef Vital, we learned first thing over here that Rav Haim Vital's father was supposed to be a great Gaon. He was supposed to be as sharp as Rabbi Meir Balan. Look at the Gemara. How, I forget which Masechet, which daf, but the Gemara says over there that they wouldn't let the Talmidim, the students of Rabbi Meir, come into yeshiva. To another yeshiva. Why? They were so smart. They could say 48 things tahor, and same 48 reasons why this thing is tamid. Go figure. But he lost. Why? Nidgae. How many times we see the Chachamim? I see people, I know personally people, that you would sit down and they were just learning, and in the middle of the learning, just besmirch different Rabbanim. I know if you see a Chacham and a Talmid Chacham, don't think about them. They did Teshuvah that night. I'm talking about myself. More than anything, I'm giving myself Musar over here. And Teshuvah, Tarat HaMishpacha, laws of Tarat HaMishpacha, laws of Tzniut, laws of Basar Vechalav, meat and milk, laws of Tefillah. Chacham Yomar Gibor Ani. A person has to be Gibor, you have to be strong. The whole point of all this, if we get to the end of the first part, which we won't obviously, I just wanted to give you a taste who is Rav Haim Vital, a taste. May his zechut be magen aleinu, be magen on me. May I go up higher in Avodat Hashem. This is the greatest pleasure in the world. The greatest pleasure. Avodat Hashem, to serve your Creator. Imagine a table, if a table could speak and you would use it as a chair, what would the table tell you? It said, hello, I was made to be a table, not a chair. You were made for a reason. What was the purpose of your creation? What was the purpose of your creation? And we see that the Ari tells Rabbi Haim Vital every night after he passes away, he tells him start, and when he stopped coming to him. Teach them teshuvah, teach them teshuvah. Of course, you have to know how to teach teshuvah, not to embarrass somebody. Not to embarrass somebody. But tell it to him out of love, out of tell him the truth. Don't say, it's all okay, there's no Gehenom. Gehenom is finished already. If you open the book of the Mekubalim HaKadoshim, if you open these things are real, Rabotai. But you have to know how to say it, how to teach it. I once saw in the book Yesod Tzion, one of the holiest books, Yesod Tzion of Rabbi Mutzafi, he writes over there about his father, Rabbi Salman Mutzafi, the foremost student of Rabbi Taftai, he writes over there, they used to send my father people to do tikkunim. He wouldn't give them tikkunim until he sat that person down, taught him laws, taught him basics of Judaism, brachot. Zbi Chozer B'Tshuvah, Shabbat, Halchot Shabbat. Especially in our time, I don't know. But we might have a window for the Geulah. We might. Who knows? We have to believe and know that every single moment is a window for the Geulah, every single day. Especially that we're living in the year 5780. How many years we have left? 220 years left. Till the year 6000. 220 years left. And Hashem already promised Rachel Imeinu is going to bring the Geulah. And he already promised in the Torah he's going to bring the Geulah. So we have to understand. Just as a side point, the reason I think that the Geulah is not coming, one of the reasons, is because we have a fallacy. We're living in denial of what the period of Mashiach really is. We're living in denial. We think it's a fairy tale. It's a Disney fairy tale. A person has to get up there one day, a big chacham, not, a big chacham has to get up one day and he has to speak. He has to say what really is going to happen when Mashiach is going to come. I'm not talking about Gog Magog and something. I'm talking about actual time. The halachot, tum'ah, tahara, Beit HaMikdash. We think social distancing today is bad. When Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to come, it's going to be total social distancing. A person will have to have two houses. One for him, one for his wife. Why? He will deal with taharot. He will deal with taharot, holy foods, truma, kodshim. If his wife is a nida, she sits on a couch and he sits on it. He's tameh, he touches that kodshim and becomes rishon l'tumah or sheni l'tumah in some cases, and everything. I don't want to get into it right now. It's a big thing. Hot kodshim, korbanot. We have to be ready, not just to want it. We have to yearn it. To learn about the halachot of it. You have to know what's coming, Rabotai, what's coming. I was learning the book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah says, it was an amazing thing. I was reading over Pesach. Baruch Hashem, we were zocheh to finish the Nevi'im on Pesach. And I was learning the book of Isaiah, Yeshaya. If I had it in front of me, I would open it to you, to that Rashi. Rabotai, Rashi. Don't just learn. Learn it with Rashi, Rabban Shel Yisrael. I always say, the Ari HaKadosh is Yitzchak ben Shlomo. Rashi is Shlomo ben Yitzchak. So Rashi says that Gog Magog is supposed to come. People don't know. They think the prophecies of Gog Magog is only in the times, is only in the books of Ezekiel and Zechariah. It's not true. It's also in the book of Tzefaniah. It's also in the book of Isaiah. It's also in the book of Jeremiah. The book of Isaiah actually has about 2-3 prophecies on it. And when it talks about Gog Magog, Rashi writes over there that it will be samuch achar biat Yisrael le'artzo. It will happen after the Jews will come to Eretz Yisrael already. Which fits in exactly what's today. It fits in exactly. The Jews are already on their land. Rashi, look at the Ruach HaKodesh over here. It says he fasted 613 fasts. Rabbi Shimshon Mastropolia says he fasted 613 fasts before he wrote his Perush on the Torah. Bala Tosfot, Rabbi Nutam says, I could do anything my grandfather did, except for write his Perush in the Tanakh. They had a Perush, Dad Skenim, the Rashbam, but obviously Rashi is Rashi. So I want to read you 2 more tidbits over here about who was Rabbi Haim Vital, and we'll call it a night, and Zot Hashem will continue this shiur, and we'll make a couple of other shiurim. We'll talk about them at the end of the shiur. So another point. Kshayiti Birushalayim, when I was in Jerusalem, in the year, he was 38 years old over here. Ba'elai baboker, a man came to me in the morning, Yishmaeli, an Arab. Shamash shel Beit HaMikdash. The Arabs control the Temple Mount. So this guy was the worker over there. But Sonei Yehudim, he hated Jews. V'yinashek yadai v'raglai, and he came to me, Rabbi Haim Vitals says, and he kissed my hands and legs. Unbelievable. And he asked him to please bless me with a couple of words. Any words. And I asked him to please write a couple of words on a paper so I could make it into an amulet and write it and put it across around my neck. So I told him why suddenly. He says, I know you're a holy man. He says, because I am the guy who opens up the Temple Mount. And this night and last night at midnight, I went to open it up to wash the floors. And the moon was shining bright. The Arab is telling Rav Haim Vital. And I see your image flying in the air. Rabotai, these are Arabs 500 years ago. What should we say? What should we say? Who in our generation has these kind of stuff? Even Talmidei Chachamim. Rabotai, we have to step up to the plate. Especially after this pandemic with so many Talmidei Chachamim have passed away. So many. The people who are here, who are left, have to step up to the plate. And I don't want anyone, chas shalom, to ask a question, how come tzaddikim are passing away? You should know, ein puranut matchila ela tzaddikim. The puranut only starts from the tzaddikim. Hashem takes the tzaddikim first. This was what happened to Rabbi Haim Vital. Now, I want to stop over here. There's a couple of more beautiful things over here, and at the end of this, there is a whole story about a dibuk that happened in Damascus when Rav Haim Vital already lived over there towards the end of his life. And I want to read you guys this story. It has a lot of how do you call it, musar, and it's scary. It's a scary story. It's scarier than any story of Rabbi Yehuda Ftaya. More than that you want. But I won't say it in this shiur. It's going to be my next shiur on Rav Haim Vital. And I also, in my upcoming shiurim, I want to make a shiur also what was Rabbi Haim Vital's exact shorish neshama. What was his gilgulim in honor of his 400 yortzeit. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to, when we started learning Otzrot Hayim, we had 20 guys in the shiur. Baruch Hashem, we have, sometimes the shiur could get up to 10, but we have 5 regulars. Where did this number go, Of course, a person has to have a zechut. But one thing's for sure, everyone has to learn this according to his shorish neshama. Everyone's shorish neshama has this. I know there was one rabbi who said that no, only some people are zocheh. Look at the Bnei Aaron, look at the Binchat Yehuda, look at the Ari HaKadosh, look at Yehuda Ftaya. It's pashut that it's not like that. We're not here for pshetlach. And I want to say that this limud, it gives a person flavor to his avodat Hashem. Once one person who asked me, he said, what's the point of learning this? He was a smart guy. I didn't answer him back then. I decided not to, but now I'm going to give the answer. Learning this limud, learning about it, learning about the spiritual aspect, is the very reason why the angels didn't want to give the Torah to the Jewish people. That means the angels didn't care about the written Torah. They cared about the Torah Shebaal Peh, specifically the Sod. That means this over here, I'll give you a mashal. God wants to have a relationship with us. That's why He made us. That's why He gave us the ability to think, to make us believe, to will it, that we feel that we are our own self. Really, we're not our own self. We're really part of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Very deep, I don't want to get into it. And I'm not going to get into it. It's already quantum physics in Torah Tasod. When Hashem wants to have a relationship with us, so He gave us an instruction manual how to have this relationship with Him. And what I'm telling you right now, just to cry. This instruction manual consists of 4 levels. That means if you want to have a relationship with somebody, you could have it like with your neighbor, hello and goodbye. You could have it with a family member, extended. You sit with him in meals. You could have it with your parents, which is you love them, you're close with them. Then you could have it with your wife. The relationship you have with your wife is not just I love you and you love me. It's I need you and you need me. We're basar echad, as the Torah says. That's the 4 levels of the Torah. A person who just learns Pshat does the Chumash. It's like he knows Hashem like a neighbor. Hello and goodbye. You learn Mishnah, it's like you have a family member. Learn Gemara, it's like your parents. But you learn Sod, it's like a wife. How do I know this? The Shir Shirim says it. Pitchili achoti ra'ayati yonati tamati. What's tamati? Tamati is it's like my heir. When a person learns Torah Hasod, it's like you don't just have a direct line to Hashem. It's not. You could be in a relationship with God like a person is in a relationship with somebody 500 years ago. You had to write him a letter. Now, with the Sod, it's like you're in a relationship with God. You're sitting in the same table with Him. You're sitting in the same table. When you learn Gemara, the relationship with God is the next best thing. It's like you're learning Him through Zoom. You see Him, you feel Him. Mishnah, it's like over the phone. You have a relationship with God. Pshat, it's like you're writing a letter. Don't you want to sit in the same table with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And the reason why people learn and don't feel that is because they don't have hadracha. I was sitting in the table with my wife this past Shabbat, and we were doing Pirkei Avot. If you know her, you could ask her. Well, obviously, women only. I got so excited in the middle of saying the Pirkei Avot, saying just the names of the Shemot HaNe'imrim. I banged the table so hard, I almost... The fire has to burn in you. That fire comes from only one thing, Torah Sod. Comes from other things too. Gemara, also fire, but I'm talking about Esh Ochelet. Look at Rav Haim Vital, who he was. This is who you're connecting to. I have a book. You guys like Rav Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev? You like him? Sani Goran Shal Yisrael. I have a book, Komar na Rebbe. You know what he said about Rav Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev? He was a spark of the Neshama Rav Haim Vital. How do you like them apples? Imagine who's Rav Haim Vital. An Arab that opens up Al-Aqsa Mosque says, I saw you flying. Write me a couple of letters and I'm going to make it my kamiyah. If we would know why he's buried in Damascus, his 400th anniversary is coming. Hillula. How much I wanted to make a big Hillula for him this year. Lo istaya milta. In our next shiur, I'm gonna say a story about when he was in Damascus and how there was a dibuk over there, as I explained before, and how he got what was the situation of the Jews back then. And in our third shiur, B'ezrat Hashem, we're gonna talk about what was Rav Haim Vitals, what was his soul, what were his gilgulim. As the Ari HaKadosh says, word by word. I mean, if only we would have somebody like that today that he could tell us. But lo alman Yisrael, all the Jewish people are not. We're not orphans. There's a leader in every generation. Hakadosh Baruch Hu be mevatel this magifa. It will be Chazar b'tshuva. That's the main thing. Chazar b'tshuva. And we will be zocheh to see each other again, to learn Torah again. to be in the Beit HaMikdash, to see the face of Rav Haim Vital and Tchiyat HaMetim, to be Zochet to the levels of Gedula like him. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen. See you next time, guys.